In this video, we're going to talk about the fruit aromas and floral aromas. Once again, it's important to give details, so when you think of fruits, you have to be organized. This is just a food for thought for you, but I guess it's really applicable to most of the cases. Again, you have to give them groups. You know, you can think about the small red-berried fruits. Think about raspberries, cherries, sour cherries, strawberries. Use your imagination, creativity, and gastronomical experiences to put all of the fruits you know. Small fruits, red-berried fruits, what can they be? Again, I say raspberry, strawberry, cherries, maybe melograno. It can be pomegranate. It can be in this group too. Ribes rosso. That's one group. Then what other fruits do we know? We know the dark fruits, you know, the dark plum, blackberries, blueberries. And I said cherries in the other one, but there are so many types of cherries. And again, that's the beauty of Mediterranean. So if you know the typology of the cherry, just say it. For example, red cherry or dark cherry, these are two different things. What do you perceive from the wine that you have? Really, it's important. Then you can think about in the fruit family, in the big fruit group, you can think about the citrus group. For example, lemon, orange, mandarins, all of these things that you know that are related to the citrus family. If there is some harsh sensations you perceive, you could also think about the peel, lemon peel, orange peel. Just these are the thoughts that should be in your mind. Then there is the group of stone fruits. What are they? Apricots, peaches, nectarines. Then there is the group of tropical fruits, like pineapple, like passion fruit, like melon, like watermelon. I think about the big fruit family. Then I try to create other child families within this big group, and then I try to get down to the fruit that I have to use as a describer. That's a really nice methodology for you to do, for you to apply. Now, especially for the fruits, I want to talk about something very important. You know, it's very important in the wine world to be as precise, as delicate, and as nuanced as possible. So really, it's not a good idea to say peach. You know, I perceive peach from the wine. Do you think about a peach that's mature? Do you think about a peach that's from Puglia? Do you think about a peach that's not mature? You know, it's very important for you to give details because every wine is different. Every wine is in another soul. Every wine has a different characteristic. And your job as a taster and as a simple person that enjoys the wine is to convey these thoughts as well as possible. So when you say the fruit, I guess it's important to talk about also the maturation level. And one last thing that I can add here is about the dried fruits, especially from the wines that have been aged for some time. You will expect, for example, not figs, but dried figs. Not apricots, but dried apricots. I'm talking about wines that show some sort of evolution, that are aged a little bit more, and that are really much smoother, much more intense. In these cases, please use the dried versions. This is a really nice tip from me. You could potentially analyze this under the family. There's another family called dried fruits, but I like to use that group for salty stuff like almonds, hazelnut, walnuts. My mind works much better, but I also consider dried fruits under the group of fruits. So what is our first group? It's the fruity group, family of fruits. Now comes the floral aroma. This is the second group that I'd like to analyze here. And once again, just don't try to think about the flower immediately. You know, among all of the groups that we're going to talk about, identifying the right flower, it's the most difficult thing. But it is possible with experience. Now, for example, here is the season of narcissus, I guess it's called in English, or daffy, if I'm not mistaken. So in every flower corner, in every flower man, I'm just there 15 minutes to understand the beauty, the complexity of the aromas, the real essence, let's say, of the aromas of narcissus, because in this way, this is something that's codified in my mind. But how should we approach? I don't think personally that it's really hard to identify floral aromas of a wine. You can really feel easily that the wine has some sort of a floral aroma. The difficulty starts when it comes to identifying the flower of the wine. And here really, the easy thing to do is to think about the colors. Initially, if you're not able to give the name of a flower, just think about the colors of the flowers. Just say white flowers if the floral component is really fresh, if it's really not sweet, if it's much more refreshing than it's sweet, just say white flowers. Then you can start to think about the white flowers that you know, like jasmine, for example. But initially, just think about the colors. White flowers, yellow flowers, red flowers, purple flowers. I guess initially it's going to be enough for you to think about the colors of the flowers, and then you can start giving more details about the flowers. But just to give you food for thought, you can think about acacia, honeysuckle, chamomile, elderflower, geranium, blossom. For red wines, always works violet. If you perceive floral aromas from a red wine, just say violet. You know, these are my tips for you. But the idea here is to identify firstly the floral sensations and then try to find a flower that can go well with the sensation, with the identification that you made. Again, think about the families and subgroups. If you cannot think about the flower, just say red flower. This wine presents some red flower aromas, is a very nice way to present the wine. Before I finish off this fruity and floral chapter, I want to just make one final note. Most of the people, they think that all of these aromas that we identify come from the taste, but really these are not the taste components of the wine. These are the aromas of the wine. These are the things that we analyze based on the smelling, based on the olfactory analysis. And then there's also retrogusto, which we can try to talk about. But really, all of these fruits, all of these flowers we talk about come from the smell, come from the olfactory world of the wine. Taste is something totally distinct that we're going to talk about on the third chapter, in the third chapter. Let's move on to other aroma families.